Good evening, everyone. How are we doing? Sorry I missed the stream on Wednesday. Had some work stuff to deal with, but we're back now, and we're going to be doing a longer stream today. I want to tackle a hard box, and I'm going to do Guardian, which is a hard Linux box. Let's change the stream title and get on with the show. Let's connect to Hack the Box and then boot up the machine. So now we're just waiting for an IP address from Hack the Box. I'm having some issues with Twitch at the moment. It doesn't want to show me the chat there, so. Oh, thank you for the 10 stream streak, Azriel. There we go, we have an IP address. So we have port 22 and 80, and we have a named host already, which we will add to our host file. Let's do that while the other the port scan is running. Oh no, it's finished. Okay, let's run a subdomain scanner as well. Let's filter out 10 lines. So we have portal as well. Okay. Let's start burp and have a look at the websites, including Portal, while that's running. Let's see what technology we're dealing with and other aspects of the website. So it seems like university. Interesting email addresses. Contact form. Okay, so that needs to be an email address. That doesn't go anywhere. So we have then the portal. That's finished. Let's run okay, before we do that, let's check. We said we're gonna look at the Apache, Ubuntu, I'm assuming PHP. This one's already, the portal is definitely running PHP. So let's run a discovery. Web content. That's fine. And I want let's do the portal in parallel so we don't waste too much time on this. Take a screenshot of this command for the notes. Actually, no, I want this one. So this one's not returning anything. I think the most interesting part is going to be in the portal. We have an admin. We have a forgot.php which returns a 200. That's usually forgot password. Lecture. Config. Let's have a look. There's a PDF. Okay, so we have a default password. GU1234. Okay, let's leave that one open. And is that the same PDF? Yes, it is. Okay. So basically, we have a password, but we don't have a username. But remember the weird email addresses? Those are the usernames according to the student ID there. So we have basically 3 usernames to play with. So let's and the password is GU1234. So what we can do is test each one individually to see if they work. And it does. First one works. Right, so we have access to the dashboard now. Courses. I'm just looking through the functionality at the moment to see what is actually available, and then we can go to through Burp and have a look. So we have a file upload that's accepting documents. I don't think I have. No, that's from certificate. Okay, never mind. We won't upload that. Let's save a new file. So we have a file in our machine folder. Let's try to upload it and see if it actually goes anywhere. Okay. Okay, so we cannot submit unexpired. That's fine. We have 2 grades there. We have a chat. That's interesting. I did notice that we have the users in the URL there, so let's make a note of that. Notice board, admin. We have some users here which we might need later, so test. Yeah, we can extract this user list. It might be useful. Anything interesting from admin? No. Profile, we can change the password. We don't want to do that at the moment. Role student, we cannot edit that. Can we edit the email address? Okay, so the email is not editable and the name is not none. No information is actually saved. No. Okay. This is going back to assignments, chats, and notices. So we have I think we've done everything that we can from the browser itself. What I do want to check is how is the logging being done. Okay, so it's just a session ID. Because I want to run this again, but as a student. Let me check. Okay, so B is for cookie. And we can just paste in our session ID from here. And see if we get any more files that maybe are not linked from the website itself. And then we should do the student folder as well, because all the functionality seems to be under student at the moment. So we have a few things to check here. Basically anything that has a parameter in the URL, we can look for SQL injections, or this chat thing, it definitely takes me to an IDOR, which it should allow you to view chat messages from other users. If that's the case, if that's not properly sanitized, then it might create an issue. Again, SQL injection in search, because we're uploading a document, that's a docx, so we're not looking at what you call it, Visual Basic for applications, so we're not looking at macros. That those need to be either doc or docm. Docx doesn't support macros. So let's have a look here. That finished. Let's do student as well. Home, chat, profile. We already knew about those three. Course, notices. But again, with the file upload, we can look to see if we can bypass any of that, depending on how the file upload is being handled. So let's have a look at that first. Let's change that to PHP. Okay, I think our session was actually invalidated. Yes. We've probably done too much brute forcing, and there's something to validate the session. Not the problem. Proxy. Let's see, does it throw an error? Okay, so it's only allowing docx or XLS, double extension. No. No, let's keep that as docx. Doesn't really matter. We're just interested to see if it actually throws an error or not. So they're not checking the content type, they're checking the extension, and let's check if the file content is actually checked. Okay, but because of the extension, and we don't actually have a path for where the file has been uploaded, we cannot really do anything around that at the moment. So, I'm just gonna save this as a file. Save item. And this is for course. request. Let's double check that it saved it correctly, and it did not. I've updated burp and I think they've changed where the things are. It's basically the only thing that I need is that, because I want to use SQL map. Let's go to the exploits folder. This was course. Risk 3, level 5, batch. So that's testing for SQL injection in the ID parameter. Let's see what other injections. So we have the grades as well. Let's save that as well. That's also an ID that we can, well, it's a course ID, but well, that one's running because I don't want to overload the machine. I'm not going to run 2 SQL maps in parallel. I'm just going to do some manual tests. So I want to run on assignments as well. And then submission. There we go. So we have those ready to run when that one's done, if it doesn't find anything interesting. In the meantime, I want to have a look at the chats. Do we have these IDs? Yeah, so that's one of the other IDs that we have. And one for 2003. Yes, it's that one. Okay. So we don't have any other new user IDs, but let's see. User 0, 1, 2. I didn't throw an error. Are you joking? You guys see what I see? Hey Simbad, thanks for the contribution. So we have a password here. Let's open that in the browser and see. So I've just done a simple 1 and 2. And it's a mention of Gitea, which is a repository hosting platform. Okay. So we found an IDOR. So let's make a note of that. So in the passwords folder we have that, and we have a username. Jamil. But we also have a reference to Gitea, so let's log that as well. Right. Okay, so it's been, the session I think has been closed. At least for, there we go. Because it's been redirected to login. Let's check to see if we can get to a subdomain called Gitea. And then we can add that to our hosts. Yes, it works. Okay. So let's add that to our host file. And let's test our credentials. Hopefully they work. And they don't. Did I copy everything? Why did that give me a save icon? Okay, let's keep digging. So let's send this to intruder. So position 1, I want numbers 1 to, let's say, 20. That's gonna be a lot, let's do 10. Step 1, position 2, I want numbers from 1 to 10. Oh, did I start the attack twice? Apparently I did. Let's kill off one of them. I'm interested in the highest response rate payload 10. Why did it? That's not what this card. There we go. So what I want is to go from 1 to 1, 1 to 2, 1 to 3, and so on. So I was expecting to see 100 different attacks in here to test each individual combination of IDs. And we're interested in all the responses that have a higher length than normal. Now that's the password that we already have. This is the same chat, but in reverse. Did all of them say admin dashboard at the top? Yes. Thought I was going nuts there for a second. Okay. That's interesting. Someone sending links. Hey Z-Science, how are you? I'm just looking for anything interesting that might be of help at the moment in the chats. And that's the same as the other one, and the attack finished. The rest are just standard no chats. Okay. So in the first 10 users, we only get that one password. But for some reason, it doesn't work for us. So it's that password with that username. Anything? We have a user called Mark. Maybe there we go. So it does work, but the username was not the full name. Now we can actually see repositories, and we have 2 repositories that we have access to. This one is just the main website. Anything interesting in here? Not really. Anything in Git history? No, this is just the first commit. Let's have a look at Portal, which is a PHP site. 1 commit, 1 branch, so nothing to see there. Let's download a zip file. It makes it easier to have a look over the code in Visual Studio Code compared to the browser. There we go. That's a lot of files. Why did they put the vendor folders in GitHub? Anyway. That's just me being an annoying prick. So we see that they're using PhpSpreadsheet and PHP Word, most probably to open the documents that they accepted as submissions. So let's take a note of that. Let's have a look. So, includes auth. So we have 3 roles. We have admin, lecturer, and student. We already knew this from the folder brute force that we've done. But let's continue. Includes admin, sidebar, chats, reports, enrollments. Enrollments is new. Well, all the functionality under admin is new, to be fair. We haven't seen any of that. Config. Oh, we have a... Okay, so we have a MySQL password. And assault as well, which I'm assuming is going to be used to create some passwords. Let's see. Where are the functions for this? Where is the login functionality? User class, user. So that's in models. User. Yeah, as I said, so it's the password dot salt and then it's SHA-256. So if we ever get to extract some data from the database, well, we should be able to basically crack the hashes if they're known passwords. Okay. It's using PDO, so I assume there's no point in us looking for SQL injection. What's the Okay, no, so that's set at the top. So PDO alone would not spare them from SQL injection, but because they're using prepare statements, that usually defeats, I would say, 99% of injections. I think there were some bugs in PDO that allowed certain types of injection to go through, but in this case, so let's have a look at student functionality that we have access to at the moment. And that's under student. Chats, gets chats by user. Okay. Is there a My Courses page? Yes. So these are the courses that we are part of. We have one assignment that we can submit here. Okay. That's a lot of users. Okay, so that's just creating a new chat. Notices. So let's have a look at notice model and how it's parsing filters here. So the function is get all notices. So condition and parameters, no. So it's no, there's no SQL injection here, because all the values that are coming from the user are basically passed in as parameters. Not fun. Let's see what happens on submission. So we get an assignment ID and the user ID from session, that's fine. I was getting the file extension using the path info. It's validating against docx and xlx. Okay, so we know that the attachment upload goes into the root folder, because at the moment this is in students. Keep in mind this is the folder students, which means if we go to the main website under portal, that's where, yeah, so that's where the attachments will be. And if we do test.docx, not found, probably because, let's see. Let's check. Does it rename? Yeah. So it gets a unique ID. That would be highly unlikely for us to be able to guess the name, even if we did bypass the extension anyway. So we can, apparently we can create a notice. Where is that? Because this one says that you can, well, at least based on the message, it says that you can create a notice. But I don't see that functionality. We have a delete notice, which is fine. Where's the create? And we can edit. Let's have a look. This is interesting because the website doesn't show a create notice button anywhere. No, so that's in the admin section. That's creating a notice in the admin section. a lecturer can create a notice as well. We can only create a submission. That's the admin create user. Okay. Well, let's keep looking. Yeah, so this one redirects us if we're not admin. Let's have a look at the lecturer. Yeah, we need to be a lecturer there as well. I think we need to somehow move to a different role to get more functionality. But the only thing I can think about is either a chat message or the document submission. But since that's not so we cannot use macros in the document because they won't work in docx or xlsx. Is there anything in lecturer that reads the assignments? Let's go to submissions. No, was it? Yeah, submissions. And view submission with submission ID. Let's see what this one does. Ah, so this is where it's used. So our document is basically converted to HTML in here and displayed on the website. Or here for an Excel file. Okay. But I don't know if this library has any vulnerabilities. Let's see. So there's a cross-site scripting. Oh, we could use this to, let's see, is this an affected version? Because we have the composer JSON 370 and 13. Yep. So we are in an affected version for this cross-site scripting. Interesting. Wait. I think we can test this out. Okay. I think we need to create a spreadsheet in a different way, because that won't allow us to do that. So So exactly like what we wanted to do. Okay. So let's just use this. If we have a look at the actual script, the only thing it's doing is unzipping the POC XLS. It's replacing the variables with what parameters we're giving it, and then zipping it back up. For that we will need pserv 8443, and that's just so we have a callback URL where this will send the data, and then we can just do it's fine. So we've created bad.xls. Let's upload it and see if we can get my courses, no, my assignments, tests. Okay. And of course, we get a session back. So now, if we do inspect, application, cookies, and we change the session ID to that one, and we're as a lecturer. Now let's take some notes as well, because we've done quite a few steps, but I haven't taken any notes. So we've used that POC, and we got back a nice session for a lecture. Okay, so now we are a lecturer. We have access. We know we now have access to create notices because we've already seen that in the code. And notices. Where was it? Notices need to be approved by an admin. So I'm assuming a similar type of scenario where we send a notice with a malicious link or something, and it's being actioned by the admin. Let's have a look. So we have the create notice here. Title. Link reference to be reviewed by admin. 1010 1448 8443. Let's see if we get another callback here. Actually, I might want to and see. There we go. We do get a callback. Headless Chrome. Um, So it is using an actual browser to do this request. Um, that's interesting, which means it's opening the link in a browser, which means we can inject JavaScript into it. But that means we won't have access to the cookie on the portal website, so we cannot do the same type of attack. So Sammy is a lecturer. Let's go back to the code and see what we can actually do as an admin. This is a good box for OSWE, by the way. If anyone plans on doing that certification, this seems like a very good box for that. Okay, so an admin can create users. But we need a CSRF token. Let's see how that's handled. Okay, so it's using a file. So usually when you have a CSRF token, they're time-based. So you do a request, it generates a token that gets saved in the on the back end, and then the front end will need to send that token back and it gets validated. However, in this case, from what I can see from this functionality, it's using basically a hard-coded array of tokens that would allow us basically to get one token and then we can reuse the same token over and over again. So let me just copy that because that's interesting. So because of the CSRF token reuse, we can craft a HTML file and a JavaScript file that will basically load the create user page, sends us the token, and then we can craft the page to create a new user. Do we have the role here? User role, yeah. So basically we can create an admin for us. Okay, so let's see how we do that. Well, I want to load the JavaScript file, so that's gonna be script source HTTP 1448 JS, and that's, we don't need more than that in the HTML file, to be honest. Because we're gonna store this as well, and we can test to see if this actually works by doing fetch HTTP so this is our initial test to see if this setup actually works. Yep. So it does work. The JavaScript file gets loaded properly, and then we can do anything that we need to do from the JavaScript file. Right, so let me put that into, we can close that because we don't no longer need the intruder attack. So we cannot do PHP SID because this is opened in a browser, and the domain is different. So the PHP session ID won't be transferred to that domain. Because we don't control anything on this particular domain, guardian.htb, the PHP session ID and the cookie itself is not available to us. So if you look at the cookie, it's set to domain, but you need to set up a link here, and you link it to a different domain basically. If we had access to store something on portal.guardian.htb, then we could do PHP session ID again, but not in this case. But we've found the different exploits to work around, and this is only possible because of the CSRF tokens. If the implementation for the CSRF would have been a decent one, then you wouldn't have this problem, because you would have to generate the form, fill the form, and do a lot more stuff there. So let's see how we fetch that URL. So we know we need to do a fetch on portal./admin/create user.php. So that's the page that we need to load, but we need to send the credentials for that domain from the browser. So let me check, because I don't remember how to do that from JavaScript. So we need to do credentials include okay. So let's put that as base. URL. Credentials include, and then we do then yeah, we don't need the JSON, we need text. So we need the same functionality, but we need let's use the catch as well. Text because fetch base there we go, base, and that's if it throws an error. Okay, that's fine for now, because I want to just double check that everything works as expected, and then we can work on extracting the CSRF token. Actually, I have it in verbs, so I can just So it's throwing an error, but I'm not sure if it's throwing an error because of the text or... Let's just do that. It's still throwing an error. Let's see. Okay, so failed to fetch. Portal Guardian admin create user. Okay, so the CSRF token. I wonder if the CSRF tokens are being generated in the backend somehow. Because they seem to expire. Which means we need to do the request quite quickly. Still failed to fetch. Why is it? Yeah, method get credentials include. That's what we have. Let's try to load something else. Profile. No. I'm just thinking that if we cannot fetch that via JavaScript, why am I being stupid? Yeah, so these fetch requests work, but the ones to get the profile doesn't. But I'm being stupid, and I'm gonna explain why. We're loading a JSON tokens, and it's not defined by admin or lecturer or anything of that sort. It's global, and I already have a CSRF token because I need to send this form. So I don't need any of that. I can just create a form and send it to create user, and that's it. It's Friday. It's late. So let's just copy that. Put that in here. We don't even need to load the JavaScript from here. ID. There we go. We don't need any of that. Value. Password. Name password. We don't need any of that. And instead of a select box for the role, I'm just gonna use set that to admin. And we need the CSRF token, right? Which, if we just refresh this page, inspect, we get the CSRF token. And then we can just do script get element by ID, submit. And this needs to be action. Well, because we're basically forwarding the whole request to the other domain. We're not using fetch to pass in the cookie or any of the other credentials. We're basically saying, hey, browser, load this page, and these are the values for that form. It's like the admin would have loaded the create user form on their own browser and placed submit. But this only works because we have a CSRF token, otherwise it wouldn't. So let's do oh, I need the action, which is in here. Create user. There we go. Let's get the fresh CSRF so we make sure it doesn't expire. There we go. And T test. We will only get the callback for the t.html, and then we can check the username and password to see if it works to log in. Okay. I need a new browser because I don't want to lose my session for the lecturer. We've got admin. Nice. That was nice. But yeah, as I said, this is definitely something that you can expect to see on the OSWE. Thank you for the bits. I'm just taking some notes at the moment. Thank you for the follow. Right, so now we have an admin, but now I'm okay to actually log in here. Just log out, because I wanted to proxy it through burp, and let's close some of the. Oh, there we go. That can stay there. Right, so we have admin access. Let's see. That looks like an LFI if I've ever seen one, but we can check the source code to have a look. Basically, because we've already had access to the application for a while, I'm looking at new functionality directly. We've been in the system as a student, as a lecturer, and now as an admin, and I'm just looking at whatever is new compared to the other users. It's quite nice because we also have the source code to evaluate, which makes it a bit more easier than okay. Okay, so we also know that Mark is an admin. And Jamil. Making them high value targets. But we're almost 2 hours into the stream and we have not yet had a shell on the box. Nice. We've had this with Windows boxes before, but not with Linux. So let's have a look at the reports functionality, shall we? Because this one is actually including a file. So, okay. So they're checking for dots and they're checking for the URL needs to end in enrollment, academic, financial, or system.php. Okay. System. Okay, that does nothing. And it's an include statement. We have an include of a file, but we need to have, we cannot have ... so we cannot do path transversal that way, and the URL needs to end because this is the start of the URL. Anything, and then it needs to be one of these four and ending in PHP. So in theory it could be reports / this does not exist, and it doesn't error out. But if I change to access denied, invalid file. So basically the URL needs to end in system.php or it needs to end in financial.php. maybe PHP filters. Haven't done PHP filters in a while. PHP filter read. There we go. That's not what they want. They just want to. Let's see. Uh, hmm. Oh yeah, because report doesn't include that. Well, let's try to see if we can at least read report system.php. No. I remember reading this article a long time ago. Let's see. This looks interesting. Oh, thank you for the contribution, McLucifer. Where are we with that? Oh, 28%. Let's see. Let's do a test with PHP info, just to see. Oh wait, we need the where is it? We need a slash system.php, so the resources reports system.php. And guess what? It works. And that means we actually have command execution. Yep. Well. So we do need to modify this because we need to include our own. If we do want to generate more, basically the resource is that. Now no. Yeah. Let's see if the padding is correct for this one. I want to find out the root directory so I can basically write a file a PHP file. There we go. So var portal guardian.htb admin. Right, let's do there we go. There we go. We are storing that. Yes. So we have a listener on port 8443 and 1010 1448 8443. Let's double check that. Yep. That is a long query string. And it didn't work. What if we do just that? Okay. So there we go. Now we have a easier way to execute commands. Let me write this into the notes file. So now we have a much better way to execute commands. Like we can do, as you can see, this is our shell script here. So we are data, but let's see what other users there are on the box. So we have Sammy, Mark, and that's about it. Oh no, we have Jamil as well. Does his password work for SSH? We've never tried that. I think we're done with that. Would be funny if his password worked, but no, it does not. Okay. So his password does not work for SSH. Or just get the reverse shell so we can have a better look at what's going on in there. Now we can close that as well. And then I need the reverse shell. That should do the trick. Or maybe not. Let's do this a different way. So we get HTTP 10.10.14.48 8444 t.sh stack o gmp. Okay. That's gonna. There we go. Right, so we managed to get the shell in the end. And we are data. Let's have a look. Oh yeah, we have the MySQL root password. Let's see if we can it won't work because of the terminal, right? Never mind. What's the database? Does it have the database name in the config file? Yes. I think users was the users. Because we have the hash and we have the, if we get the hashes from here, we can try to crack them. I'm interested in the password that's set for Jamil and Mark because they are marked as administrators, first of all, on the website, but also they exist as users on the box. Well, let's see. Let's write that down. Let me copy. Yeah, I'm not even gonna go to the GUI users. I'm just gonna use the ones that have an actual username. And that's admin. Actually, you know what? That makes it easier, and I only want up until 5381. There we go. So we have those passwords, and we know that the salt for the config is where's the config? Right, so that's the salt, but we need the data type for hashcat. That's our hash. We just need to add the salt. There we go. And then one four 10. Okay, 0 hashes. Mount. Let's see if any of them crack. While that's running, we can have another look through here. So we have two hashes that cracked, but can we read this? I don't think so. No, we cannot. No. Okay. Right, so we have two hashes that cracked. So basically we have Cooper House and fake bake that we can add to passwords. And for users, we have, because now we're only interested in SSH. Let's remove those, and we need to add mark. And we can use user stack p passwords. There we go. So we have SSH access as Jamil, but I do want to do because we found 2 passwords and that cracked. I'm curious to see if the other password works as well. In the meantime, we can actually close that one because we don't need it. SH. And the password is Cooper House 56. There we go. We actually managed to get the user flag. So we can actually close the... Yeah, we can close that one. We don't need it for now. MySQL history is dev node. Bash history, of course, is dev node. Okay. I want to run linpiece to start off with, so I'm doing that. I'm removing the cloud functionality for this one because it takes a lot of time for it to go through the AWS stuff, and I think, if I remember correctly, Hack the Box is now hosting on AWS. At least some of the boxes are hosted on AWS, and it's just gonna take a lot of time. I've just noticed something. We are in the admins group. And remember, we were looking with data on the opt folder. We can actually read that now. We have permission to read. So oh, you know what? Has that finished? No. Okay, so Mark is allowed to execute everything in there, but we are not. Which means we need to move to and yet again the MySQL password in clear text in another file. If you were in a real pen test, you would, or a red team, you would log those as issues. Okay, so there's nothing there. Right, before I go to review linpies, yeah, so we are allowed to run that script. Okay. Let's see. But all the actions. Oh, this is funny. So, all you're supposed to choose an action, backup, zip, attachment, collection logs, and all of that. But all the you need to be actually no. All the actions are protected except system status. So let's have a look at that. Let me just I think that might be just a red herring throwing us on a different route. So let's go back to linpies for the time being. If we don't find anything in here, or by enumerating the system further, then we can look at that, try to see what we can do. Okay. Okay, so this is the bot for the lecturer that basically got us the initial access. We have another application running on port 3000, another MySQL running on 33,060. That's interesting, let's take a note of that. So usually on port 3000 it would be a Node.js application. Let's see. Or it might just be Gitea that's running. Yep. It is. So that's just Gitea, which where's that running from? Because remember, Mark had the user in Gitea as well. Where is that? So Mark is a user here. What user is MySQL running as? As MySQL, so it's a system user. Not useful. Can we write to status? Yes. What? Oh. Ah. Okay. So we need to run it as user mark. Got it. And if we do, okay. So we can execute scripts as user mark. Oof. chmod 600. What? Six, 4, 4. Already exists and we cannot put anything in there. It doesn't really matter. Let's try something different. We don't need that. Keygen. ID 5519. Okay, and then we can just do you can tell I'm getting tired. Why is... Right, you know what? Let's get the shell and then Right. Anyway, we have a shellless mark now. No, we don't have a password for mark. Let's copy what we've done here so we can repeat if needed. Okay, so we can execute another sudo command as mark. We have a const file here. It's empty. I know Apache CTL, but safe Apache CTL, I don't know what it is, so let's have a look. It's an ELF binary. So basically it's trying to load config files from home mark confs, and we can specify any file in there and it will try to load it. Okay, and it's for Apache. Can we generate an Apache module? Thank you for the follow. So my idea is if we can load an Apache module, and if we can compile our own library, we should be able to read files, or because it's running as root, I'm thinking we can simply copy a SUID binary that we can use afterwards. So, this is the function that gets executed. So I think we would need to register it in here. Let's see if I can get an AI to help me with this, because see, can I do C Apache module that copies a binary from one folder to another. Don't you just love it when ChatGPT cooperates? So let's see that we actually understand what it does. Source, basically we want bin bash. Destination, TMP, another binary name there, that's fine. And then I want there we go. I don't know what that was about, but we seem to be back, at least for now. So yeah, let's copy binary. Destination file, new mode. I need the mode as well. But I'm not sure where chmod is coming from. I'm just going to include all of them. So we have stat, this one's already included. So we are copying bin bash to TMP and we're setting the SUID flag on chmod on the temp file, Okay. Let's see if this one works. So we already have that. We can do wget 10 10 48 14 48 8444 copy.c, and then to compile it, not sure if I have that capability. APSX. Nope. That's interesting. What was it? Excess. No. Okay, so we can compile it, but we need different flags. That's fine. Old example, and this is copy.c. Okay, so that doesn't work because we don't have the headers. But do we need those headers? Because we're not actually gonna use the... We don't need any of that. And we need AP config because it's for that, but we don't need the HTTP headers. Let's try. No, AP config fails as well. But do we actually need all of that? Or do we just need an init function like we have in here? Anyone written any Apache extensions? Because I haven't. So we can keep that. Remove apconfig. Okay. Yeah, I don't need that bit. We don't need to do any stat. We just need to copy source file, destination file. Let's see. Actually, C Apache module set UID binary. If I can write. Yeah, I don't want any of that. Stack Overflow. Nope. Does payload all the things have anything? Nope. Set UID binary. Okay. So we copy that. Well, we need to be root, so we need to set the UID to 0. let's set all the others as well to 0, and I don't want to print anything, but set ID 0, group ID 0, and effective group ID 0. I know I have two mains, but I'm gonna be moving actually cp bin bash tmp system is it s plus u tmp Can you guys hear me okay? Not sure if my stream is failing again. Okay. We don't need any of that. As well, it has too much stuff in there anyway, but that's fine. Oh, getting tired, as you can see. Making silly mistakes. Okay. So we have the module here. Mode example so confs. So we have that there, and now we just need the configuration file. Loads module, copy test, home mark comps. So and now sudo l what? Okay. So I think there's a script that basically cleans up stuff. So undefined symbol. Anyway, no, I did not execute. Okay, so we need to define a constructor. Right, it's not Objective C, so static void, and let's rename main to static void. There we go. And this should be void as well. No arguments. Void. Um, 10, 10, 14, 48. Copy.c. What did I mess up this time? So we have static void, constructor void. Oh. Chat. Why don't you tell me when I'm doing stupid stuff? but the SUID is not set correctly. But it did execute. Or nah. Oh. Right, so it didn't, the SUID was not correct. U plus S. Ten, 14, 48. There we go. And of course, I'll need to get the file again, test.conf, because it's probably been removed already. There we go. So we got the root flag as well. Well, that was a bit of a roller coaster, but nice root path there. Right, let me take some notes. As always, I'll upload the VOD files to YouTube, and I'll put my write-up on the website so you can have a read through it. Any questions or anything that you guys want to talk about while we're still here? While I'm taking the notes. Well, if there are no questions and you guys are probably asleep already, thank you for watching, and I'll see you all on on Sunday. Have a nice weekend.